Hello everyone, Drake Robinson here. Okay, so as you can tell from the title, no surprise. I got an early. Don't ask how. I managed to see Scream 6 just one day early of its release, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, when I tell you that I'm looking differently at Scream 5 now. Only in one level of what I like to call the shit stairs. So threw up the up the ante a little bit. It's still shit, but it's one step below shit. It's Scream 5 is one step above Scream 6 on the shit stairs. You know, because this movie, yo, is I feel like the most vindicated person in the world, and because I feel like the most vindicated person in the world, when I told you everything I told you in all the videos I made prior to this movie's release, I'm gonna put my shades on and I'm gonna keep them on for the rest of this review. I don't even care because that's how vindicated I feel. Because they're expensive shades and they deserve to be worn at all times. Anyway, so to get into this dreadful pile of human waste, and the reason that I'm coming across as hard as I am is because as a longtime lover of this franchise, not a lover in horror movies in general, but this franchise, you know, the death of the unfortunate passing of, by the way, Drake Robinson here, by the way. I don't think I said that in the intro, but sorry. I'm in a mood today, y'all. I'm literally just coming out of the theater. And boy, oh boy, at the end, my entire drive home, I just wanted to swerve off a bridge. Just thinking, in fact, I almost did. Just thinking about how god awful this movie was. But anywho, yeah, the unfortunate passing of Wes Craven was just so blatantly obvious. Just everything, the direction, the lines of dialogue. Kevin Williamson did not write this script in any way, shape, or form. Y'all, and and the fact of the matter that this has, from what I understand, the Rotten Potato score has an 80% already, and the movie's not even technically out yet. Just goes to show you that, yeah, the continued rise of mediocrity in these beloved franchises is just going to continue. We've seen it in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've seen it in Halloween. We've seen it. We're currently seeing it in Scream. Just the denigration of our childhood beloved franchises, all thanks to these privileged blue pill people, Hollywood people, and all these complicit fanboys, fans, quote unquote. We're just gonna keep seeing it because the audience score doesn't lie. I wish it did. Well, actually, I tell you, it does lie because no right person in their mind will like a movie like this or Halloween or even the new Halloween movies or any of the new Texas Chainsaw, any of that. Like any person in their right mind wouldn't like any of this garbage. And just to get into the movie for a bit, you might as well call it Scream 2 2023. So that's pretty much what this movie was, all the way up to the very end. The killer's reveal. Uh, Scream 2 took place in a college setting. This movie takes place in a university college setting as well. The killers. Spoiler alert. I don't care if I'm spoiling it. Y'all know what y'all getting yourselves into with this. Spoiler alert, the killers turned out to be the family of Jack Quaid's, which is face Richie's, turned out to be the family of Richie, the plastic the low rent Sidney Prescott characters, which name I forgot and still do not care about to this day. Starts with an S, I believe. But uh, her boyfriend in Scream Five. So yeah, it's pretty much a Mrs. Loomis, only done in a much worse, much more obvious, much more just insulting to the intelligence of every human being, every living organism, everything alive. Pretty much an insult to their intelligence right there. Uh, yeah. So that was no different. Oh, and the killers, I guess 2 out of the 3, within the first, I want to say 20 minutes or so. I mean, it was a little quicker than I did in Scream 5, so I'll give myself some credit there. Even though the killers were also blatantly obvious there, but just the whole lines of dialogue, the woke Randy, as I like to call her, still one of the most annoying, cringeworthy. Uh, like I don't know what happened between her. Scream 5 was just 1 year ago. Keep that in mind. I don't know what happened between that time and Scream this movie, but my God, I thought the lines of dialogue that she had in Scream 5 were cringeworthy. Like I I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like I was literally cringing in the movie theater. Like between the times I was trying to uh, keep myself awake, I literally brought myself. I literally put an alarm on I alarm my phone. I turned it to silent, so every time, so it would buzz, like really vibrate in my pants every time I felt myself. I set it for every like 10 minutes, just in case, the movie was boring because it was about 2 hours long. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's what I did. So and it came in handy a few times. Definitely the vibrating sensation in my pants definitely woke me up a bit. But it was her lines of dialogue that I just like I felt. Oh my god, her and a couple of others like just so unnatural, so just like what? No one says that. No one says that. In all the Scream movies that Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson did, in their scripts and their direction and all that, their lines of dialogue that actually hit close to home, and we're kind of meta here and there, but it wasn't smacking you in the face with meta every 10 seconds. These new writers, these new directors, they just like to just punch you dead in the face with the meta fist and say, "Oh, yeah, so this is just like that. This is just like this. This is just like that." Yeah, every like freaking 10 seconds. Like, yeah, we get it. You guys are trying to be, something you never be, and that's anything close to the original. Like, you would never ever be that in your lives. Like, it is just that obvious and that embarrassing and that cringy and the new and then the little sister, Jenna Ortega's character, she's, which, not much different with her. Like, her only difference in character development, I guess, is that she's now with, Chad, since his girlfriend and got her face blown off in Scream 5. I guess those two have like something going on, which hey, that was pretty quick, for over a year, of the events of Scream 5. Okay, they magically out of nowhere start liking each other, even though they both haven't had a single line of dialogue with one another in Scream 5. I can't take that seriously. I'm sorry, I can't. And also, Kirby's back from Scream 4. I like Scream 4. She's apparently this FBI agent, and she's tasked on helping these kids. Um, yeah, because of course she is, right? She has to be. to be. It's just, oh my god, like even some of her lines of dialogue just didn't make, just wasn't all there for me. It didn't feel like the Kirby from Scream 4. The cool, witty, sarcastic Kirby. I guess you could argue that she grew up in the past 10 years, but like, I didn't see it. I didn't see the same, emotion, I guess, if you will. Like, the same, like, wanting to be there. Like, the interview she gave to the press for the movie. Um, uh, uh, she talked about how much she wanted to do this, but like I didn't feel that in this movie. I didn't feel that she wanted to be there at all. It's more like a paycheck thing. Hey, my name hasn't really been out there in the past 10 years. Hayden Panettiere, that is. I'm barely recognized anymore. So let me come back to a big motion picture movie that everyone's anticipating, and boom, my name will be out there. I'll start getting some paycheck, some revenue for this, and I'm maybe that's the cynic in me, but there may be an ulterior motive than just her saying, "Oh man, I was just so excited to be a part of this, new Scream adventure, because So I called the writers or emailed them and say, hey, I really want to be in this movie because I just admire you guys. Like, I don't believe that at all. I'm sorry. I just can't take that seriously as well. Those interviews she would give to the press. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, what else happened? The kills, as far as the kills though, the kills were pretty basic. I mean, I love how they kept talking about, oh, this is a more brutal Ghostface. Okay, maybe one or two kills here and there were pretty brutal, but still nothing can outmatch what Scream 4 and brutality. I mean, a girl was literally gutted. Her bedroom walls were literally covered in intestines and stuff like that. How can you get more brutal than that? What, Ghostface had a shotgun and shot someone? Someone fell off a ladder and hit like a garbage can or whatever. Okay, that's pretty rough, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily brutal. I mean, and like I said, the killers, there are 3 killers in here. Yeah, because that's not going to be clunky at all. And they're pretty much just ripped off Scream 3 with the whole, Pamela Voorhees, Mrs. Loomis thing. Now it's Jack Quaid's sad detective father, who is the detective, by the way, Detective Bailey, I believe his name. It's his sad father who is just upset because, you killed my son who is obsessed with horror movies and yada yada yada. He dies the exact same way. Multiple knife wounds. And it's just like, I don't care. I was just ready for the movie to end at that point. Like, in the absence of Sidney Prescott in this movie, like, it's just very obvious. Like, I'm sorry, Gale Weathers, Courtney Cox. I mean, I'm sorry, and this may sound a little, well, I don't really care. Courtney Cox, honestly, that old Ghostface mask that Ghostface was wearing, Courtney Cox's face kind of resembled that throughout the movie. I'm sorry, I just had to, like, it's just, like, I'm sorry, Courtney, you may need to take a step back from the movie and TV for a while. I know you got all the money in the world, girl. You're living off that those Fringe royalty checks to this day. There was no need for you to come back. You don't need the money. You don't need, I'm sorry, you just didn't need it that badly. Because honestly, I kind of felt it was, part of me thought it was you who was the Ghostface killer just because how much your face resembled that old Ghostface mask. And that's all I'll say there. But like, it's just like, girl, like, female, please. You're past your prime. This franchise is past its prime. I didn't even talk about any of the other characters because what is there to talk about? What is there to be interested in about the other characters? That you might as well call them generic horror movie character number one. He dies. He dies. Generic horror movie female number two. She dies brutally. One dimensional, stale, bland, boring, just like Scream 5. Nothing interesting, nothing new at all. I'm super happy that Sydney Nev Campbell, uh, you know, bailed on this project on this film. Like I don't blame her one bit. Like the fact that you know, and the thing about it is too is that these writers and these directors they're not. I don't think these are horror, like necessarily horror writers. I know directors have done some horror movies, but like I don't think they're actual. But the writers, I don't think that because if you remember, Scream 5 was about Star Wars and Ryan Johnson and toxic fandom and The Last Jedi, all that stuff. It wasn't about horror movies at all. Yeah, they said they were doing it for stab, but come on, let's be smarter than that, people. Let's look at the underlining message here. Scream 5, um, like there's a reason they brought up Star Wars in that little soliloquy that woke Randy girl gave during the I guess the horror movie rules talk. Like she said, like Wars is the last one. Like there's a toxic fandom and all that stuff, and people who didn't like it are bad people and are garbage people, and people who didn't, which is a little cheap, get out that they use for the people who didn't like myself, who didn't like Scream 5, that would call us toxic fans. So it was all about Star Wars. Like, I don't know if these writers are just more so Disney fans or whatever, but I don't think these are horror writers, the horror, producers. They don't come across as that. The lines of dialogue aren't, like, geared towards that at all. Like, it's just, like, you can tell with Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, they're horror. They have horror in their bones. They have horror like sleeping at night. You can tell, and I just didn't see it there. I don't think it comes across in the writing. I don't think it comes across in the directing. I'm sorry, just nothing just came across as, as anything Scream related. Like, it didn't feel like I was watching a Scream movie. It felt like I was watching a SNL parody of a Scream movie. Both this movie and Scream 5. It didn't feel like a Wes Craven, well, obviously Wes Craven passed, but it didn't feel like a Scream essence movie. It just didn't. I'm sorry. It just, felt like actually, I can take that. I take that because that Scream Legacy fan film on YouTube that's an hour and 5 minutes was better than both Scream 5 and this movie within a long shot. I mean, you could tell those are actual Scream fans of the franchise, and why something like that couldn't have been done on the big screen and not on YouTube or not. Yes, an hour and 5 minutes is kind of embarrassing when you think about it. An hour and 5 minute fan film of Scream is actually better than two, for whatever reason, highly regarded, theatrical release movies. It's just that's embarrassing. That really is. But yeah, I got nothing else to talk about with this movie. I feel validated, vindicated, all of everything, in between, because I said this movie was gonna be garbage. It was garbage. It was very boring. It didn't tell an interesting story. It didn't have like a theme. You know how Scream movies would have a theme. There was no theme to it, in my opinion. What was the theme? Like, if there was one, I must have missed it. Shoot, as much as I hate Scream 5, at least, and at least it kind of, sort of, in a little teeny, very, very teeny, inch little bit had a theme to it. That was that stupid toxic fandom garbage, which is, there's no such thing as toxic fandom, but anyway, at least you could technically say that had a theme to it. Scream 4 was remakes. Scream 3 was trilogy. Scream 2 was, the sequel. And Scream had a sequel as well, the original, the OG. And it's just like, uh, yeah, there's just nothing else to talk about this movie. All the complicit fans, the blue pillars, the privileged people, they're all gonna go out and love it, and all the shills are gonna praise it up and down, and there'll be a Scream 7 next year, and I'll be ranting on that as well. It's just, yeah. So overall, F minus. Scream 6 can go nosedive like that girl did off that ladder and hit a garbage can, or it can get shot with a shotgun like Ghostface did to that guy in the bodega. So yeah, overall, Scream 5 sucks. I'm out.